Velkommen og god dag alle sammen. Today we're going to be looking at how to draw out staves or runes or anything. So I've released a couple videos already, and I'm going to be releasing a lot more with some actual magical staves and runes and how they were used, and basically looking at this as a history lesson. Again, I'm not saying that I'm a magician, I'm not a professional, I'm not a witch doctor, I'm not a cunning man, I'm not any of that. I'm a historian, so I don't really care about magic. I think it's really cool, and I believe in some of it I don't believe in, but I'm more interested in what our ancestors believed in. That's why I'm looking at all this. I'm not trying to convince you to believe anything. I'm not trying to convince myself to believe anything either. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm trying to find out what our ancestors believed in so we can learn a bit more about them, because that's where we're lacking in this subject of Norse history, really. So today we're going to look at the actual ritual and tradition about how to draw these magical staves, so that if you do want to do it, if you do want to try some of these things, and that is your thing, and you do want to try some of that out and you believe it, just want to make sure that you're doing it right and the way that that is tradition. So first, start with the pens, what you're going to be used to write out the magical staves or runes. Now, in medieval times, they would have been quills dipped in ink, and in older times, the pagan times, it would have been carved into stones or sticks or something like that. So what you write with really doesn't matter, but I recommend the color red, red ink, or painting it some way in red, because there's lots of historical evidence that shows that the red color was used in pagan times. That's what they believed the color was the most powerful, and I'm going to do another video about that because that's quite a big subject, why they used red, and all the examples that we find red in the runestones and things like that. So I recommend red, but you can do whatever, really. Now, what to write on? Now, some of the spells will give specific instructions about the material to write on. Some will have a specific type of wood from a tree that you're supposed to carve on. Some will have like a specific bone, like a fish bone or something like that. And it was just mostly things that they would have found locally. So of the books of the magic spells that we're looking at, some of them, they were written on sheepskin or calfskin parchment, so you can do this if you want the more traditional experience, but paperwork's fine if you want to do that. Then it's important you have candles. You should have 3, a red one, a black one, and a white one, and that's what should be used for lighting up your work. Electric light is no good for this stuff. So definitely use those candles and those colors, and you should also have 3 cups and some red wine, and I'll explain why to do this in a minute. You can also use like a ruler or a compass or something straight, if the stave you're going to be drawing requires some straight lines or circles, something like that. So first, before you sit down, it's tradition to call upon the Icelandic protective spirits. Icelanders in pagan times, they believed that there was a spirit in each direction protected from the country from a foreign invasion, and they still believe this even a long time after the official Christianization. And it was a dragon, an eagle, a bull, and a rock giant. These were the spirits that protected Iceland from foreign invasion, and they never really got invaded. Really, they got they were a territory of Norway, of course, to start off, and then a few hundred years later, when Norway got taken over by Denmark, they were a territory of Denmark, but Iceland never really got invaded, so maybe there are some spirits protecting their country, because they've been pretty safe up until, the whole time, really, since they were founded. So what you do, you walk up, and before you sit down to the table, and you make the algis or rune with your arms, just like this. and it's also the younger mother rune. And Algis originally meant elk in the Elder Futhark, and it was a rune for protection. Really, that was what the meaning was originally. And then in the younger Futhark, mother, it just meant man. So you put your arms up like this. Here you go. That's a perfect example. I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor, so that's a cool photo to use. Then you call the spirits, like I mentioned. Then you say these words: "From the east swims the dragon, to the dread of my foes." Then, sorry, you have to look in the proper directions. So wherever you are. So if you're saying this one first, you look to the east, still with your arms raised like that, and you say, "From the east swims the dragon, to the dread of my foes." Then you turn to the north and say, "From the north flies the eagle to give me insight." Then you turn to the west. From the west charges the bull to give me might and main. And finally, turn to the south and speak the formula. "From the south strides the rock giant to make me steadfast." And that's about it. Then you're allowed to sit down. And by the way, these were later on in time that this tradition was recorded. Of course, in really old times, they probably wouldn't have a table if they were doing a runic inscription or a spell, carving in some wood or in a runestone or anything like that. So this is probably just used when you were working at a table, because in very old times they probably didn't have a table to work at. They were just carving out things in nature. But I'll do some more videos about that as well. And then you sit down, and now is when you invoke Odin. So first, you light the black candle and you say the words, "I am fed." Second, you light the red candle and say the words, "I am shielded." And the third, you light the white candle and say the words, "I am hallowed by the might and the main of the strongest of spirits in Valhall, Odin." Okay, then you silently pour the grape juice or wine. I use wine, but you can use grape juice or something like that, but make sure it's red. Make sure it's red wine. I definitely prefer that. You pour that into the first glass, filling it halfway, and then you pour it in the second glass, filling it halfway. And that's the one for Odin. The second glass of wine, fill it halfway, that's the one for Odin. And then the third glass, you pour some spring water. And you mix the wine and the spring water, and you drink up that. And then you just leave the third glass of wine, that's for Odin. That's what we call a blot. That's a sacrificial bowl. And that's about it. Then comes the time when you draw the sign, and I'm gonna make some more videos about drawing the actual sign, because that's also a big subject. And but yeah, just for now, you draw the sign, and then after it's finished, you're supposed to meditate on the sign and see it in many dimensions and see it as a part of you, and focus on that for a while. But it's supposed to be done quickly. You're not supposed to ponder on it for a long time. Just kind of meditate on it until you feel that sign is powerful, till it's charged, and then you disconnect from the sign, and then you can hide it away. Don't think about it. Put it away, get it out of your mind. Hide it in an important spot or something like that, and don't think about it for a little while. So that's when it does its work by itself. Then you finish. If you are Christian, you can say the Pastanoser if you want. If not, you can lower your hands to the Yr rune, which is basically the opposite of the Mother and Algis rune. Just lower your arms to a 45-degree angle down and say, "So shall it be." If you want to say it in Icelandic or Old Norse, "So skal það vera." And that's about it. Then you're done. I'll make some more videos explaining exactly how to draw the sign and exactly the state of mind that you want to be in, and how to go about it the right way. But yeah, that's about it for today. Thank you. Bye bye.